Welcome back to the Triple Coverage Podcast. My name is Mitchell Graham.
And I'm Zach Brown.
We are here.
Yes.
Another week, another stream, another huge week of football games. Week 8 already. So we're already in week 8 of the college football season. We are chugging along. It's the third Saturday in October, which we will get into that game soon. We got a great slate of games that are starting as we are going live, which I'm probably going to pull up behind us, that me and Zach have already made our picks on. I've already submitted our picks. We cannot change our picks for that game.
That is correct.
Yes. I have them written down, and I think we can just trust each other that we're not going to change it based off of the first 30 minutes of a game. I don't think we should do that in the first place. But anyways, I mean, we have a loaded slate to talk about from last week. We haven't all three been together in a really long time, so I think we are ready to jump into it. Let's break down week 7.
Yeah. Well, first, before we get into last week's games, let's talk about another coaching carousel news. James Franklin being fired from Penn State. I had mentioned last week on the solo episode that for a long time he had been compared to Mark Richt. He was the Mark Richt of the Big Ten. But I said on the show last week that I think it's almost an insult to Mark Richt to compare James Franklin to him, because Mark Richt at least won 2 SEC titles, multiple SEC championship appearances. And while he did struggle in the big games, he at least won a few of them. And James Franklin seemed to not win any of them.
Up until last year, really hadn't won anything at all.
Yeah, and I mean,
he won a couple playoff games, but
he was a play away from the national championship game, which Mark Richt was a play away from the national championship game in 2012. So I mean, there are definite similarities there. But what are your thoughts on the James Franklin firing? Do you think it was time to fire him? Do you think just give me your initial thoughts on?
I think that Oregon broke that Penn State team. I think that the Oregon win took the life out of that team, and then they basically thought that they were, too good, basically, and then they ended up falling flat on their face, and again 2 straight weeks losing as 20+ point favorites is crazy. It's the first time it's happened in a really long time. I just think James Franklin lost the team, and I think that it's okay for a marriage to separate. And they've been together long enough. I think Penn State needs a new, fresh face. James Franklin walks out of it winning or earning like $50 million. $50 million buyout, which, I mean, I'm sure he's happy about, and he can go coach somewhere else, which I think he will. I don't think James Franklin's done coaching at all. And heck, he could even take a couple years off, go make money on TV, make himself sound like a genius on TV, and then get a really good job again. I don't think James Franklin's a bad head coach by any stretch of the imagination. I think a lot of teams would like to have James Franklin, but Penn State had a very high expectation. For years they've had this high expectation, and you can't start 3-3 on a year that you were preseason number 2. You can't lose 3 in a row, and you can't lose to UCLA, and you can't lose to Northwestern at home.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a lack of talent. That team has good talent. I just think that they checked out after losing another big game the way that they did on a whiteout night against Oregon. Drew Allar threw the pick, and now Drew Allar's hurt. So we're looking at it basically a wash season, and I understand that it happens, but the part that frustrates me is the seniors on that team. The seniors who stayed another year to raise their draft stock. Now they're on a team that's not going to care the rest of the year with an interim head coach, and their senior year is going to be wasted. And that bothers me. It really does bother me. And I think that obviously you can't help that. Like, you don't choose to do it that way, but that's the first thing that stuck out in my mind was, man, these guys basically lost their senior year. I think Penn State will bounce back. I'm sure we're going to get into some of their targets and who they're looking at, because I think that I would say that it's a top 15 job in the sport, if not higher.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, Penn State pulled a very similar move to what Georgia did back in 2015.
Right.
Everybody, right now everybody's like, dude, Penn State, what are you doing? Why did you fire James Franklin? He was guaranteed to at least keep you relevant, at least win 9, 10, 11 games a year, even if you never won the big one. But at some point, enough is enough of being so close.
Yep.
And you and I, as Georgia fans, we remember growing up being so close every single year. And Georgia, Mark Richt, the last 3 seasons there kind of went downhill.
Yeah.
The teams were not as good the last couple seasons, but
Georgia more a quarterback, but
Georgia took a big risk in saying, okay, Mark Richt, we appreciate you got us this far, and we wouldn't be where we are today without Mark Richt.
Correct.
You got us this far, but we're going to take a risk and go get somebody that we think can take us to that next level and finally win a national championship. And it turned out well.
It worked.
And it doesn't always work out, but sometimes you have to take calculated risks in order to get your program to where you want it to be. At Penn State, the next guy they hire could be terrible. Could set their program back to where it was pre-Bill O'Brien days. But that's a risk you have to be willing to take, especially when you see his record versus the top teams in the Big Ten.
Right.
I don't think I'm sure he beat Ohio State at least once, but I think his record was like 1-11 against Ohio State.
Remember, it was the blocked field goal that returned for a touchdown on like a Saturday night and a whiteout. I remember it. He was like
1-11 against Ohio State, like 2-10 or like 3-10 against Michigan. Like, it's just not good. No, it's not good enough. And, last year would have been a totally different story, I think, if they would have made the national championship game and maybe even if they lost. But I think it was time. James Franklin, as Josh Pate always said about James Franklin, he didn't think James Franklin was overrated or underrated. He was appropriately rated because he always lost the games he was an underdog in, and he usually always won the games he was a favorite in. But
so now that he started losing the games that he was favored in, that's when it's time to go. I think that's a good analogy, and that's a good way to put it. Is he finally started losing the games that he's not supposed to lose, and that catches up with you when you're still losing the games that you're supposed to lose. So I think that it ended, and I think that they're going to move on, but I think they have to make a splash higher. I think that. Now there probably isn't a Kirby Smart out there right now that you're looking at to get, and 2 of the bigger options just came out and signed extensions. Curt Cignetti signed an extension with Indiana, and then one other guy signed an extension 2 days ago, right when all the rumors were swirling around. I forgot who it was.
I don't know.
And
Matt Rule
the one who said he was committed to Nebraska. Sorry,
he hasn't signed an extension, but he has said multiple times since the firing
my dream job
that he is where he wants to be. He loves Penn State. He's not going to talk negatively about that job, and so that's why he's kind of the Vegas betting odds favorite, is because he is an alum of Penn State. He has lots of ties there. Him and the AD are like best friends, but you always have to take what a coach says with a grain of salt because
he's a coach.
Because he's a coach, and coaches say all the time that they're not leaving, and then they end up leaving.
Yep.
The greatest coach of all time did that, right? I mean, Nick Saban said, "I will not be the coach at Alabama" when he was still the Miami Dolphins head coach, and literally like not even a week later, I think it was, he was the head coach at Alabama. So
I think that an interesting name here is Matt Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, this could finally be the opportunity, the right opportunity, so to speak, to jump ship. However, I mean, he's had continued and sustained success at Iowa State, and there's not near as much pressure to win than it would be at Penn State. But he's going to automatically get better talent. He's automatically going to have better rosters at Penn State. Penn State has all the resources to be a perennial national championship.
Well, they run the state. They have the state. Like the state of Pennsylvania, no one else has really taken anything from them.
They dominate New England in recruiting, and New England is a pretty good recruiting hotbed. Yep. So, they dominate that area. They've come down here into the South and gotten recruits.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an established program. It's a place. I would say it's a destination job. It's probably one of the top 10, 15 destination jobs that are out there. And unless you're already at a big school, it would be a big jump for anybody. It would be a desirable job for anyone. And speaking to James Franklin's behalf, I've seen many different predictions of where he's going to end up. I think personally, the one that I thought was the greatest fit is Virginia Tech. I think James Franklin at Virginia Tech would be a great fit for him. He would bring that program back to relevance. And honestly, I think James Franklin is at his best as a coach when he's kind of an underdog, kind of the chip on his shoulder. Nobody really believes in them or whatever. Because when he was at Vanderbilt, I think James Franklin did his best coaching at Vanderbilt when nobody thought Vanderbilt was any good, and they weren't. Right. So I think him going to somewhere like Virginia Tech that's been down for a little while, him having a chip on his shoulder when he coaches, I think could really be good for him.
I think. I mean, are we in consensus that unless another job that we know is probably going to comes open, Penn State is the number one job in the cycle?
Yeah, I think right now, out of the 7 jobs that are available right now, Penn State has to be number one.
But we know. I think we understand that if Napier gets fired, I think Florida's a better destination. I think Florida's a better job than Penn State.
I think long term, it is a better job. But who's ready to win right now? Penn State's still better. Yeah, still better. 100%. So, and I've seen lots of rumors that John Summerall's the guy for Florida, and that scares me because he's a good coach. I like John Summerall a lot. Coach. So, I hope they don't get John Summerall. But apparently he's the guy that they're targeting. Rhett Lashley is still being targeted by a lot of places.
Alex Golesh.
Alex Golesh. I've seen rumors of Golesh to Wisconsin. I don't know if that one's gonna. I don't know if that really fits all that.
Are they gonna fire Fickell?
They kind of have to at this point, man. Wisconsin sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've always liked Luke Fickell. I thought he was a great coach at Cincinnati, but ever since he's taken over a Wisconsin program that's got more resources, better program, they've just taken giant leaps backwards. That's not a good football team anymore. So I think
they're
Luke
Fickell will
probably get fired. Too. I think Billy Napier will probably get fired, especially if they lose this week to Mississippi State. I think he's done. I think he's fired.
It'll be the end, yeah.
So, and honestly, I think the AD could also be fired. I'm hearing rumors that Scott Strickland could be fired as well if they lose this weekend.
But because Scott Strickland loves Billy Napier.
Well, yeah, I mean, both of Scott Strickland's guys that he's brought in, both have not worked out.
Yeah.
He is,
which makes me so happy.
And we'll get into this when we get into our. Well, actually, I don't even know if this is a game we're covering this week, so I guess we can talk about it now.
It's not.
But Scott Strickland came from Mississippi State, the former AD at Mississippi State, and he's at Florida. He brought Dan Mullen over. And I think Mississippi State, the goal now is for them to try to make a bowl game. And if you look at their remaining schedule, there's not very many winnable games, but this weekend is a winnable game.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect opportunity for them to play spoiler, perfect opportunity for them to possibly get their previous AD fired, say, oh, you think Florida's a better destination than here? We can get you fired, get Billy Napier fired. I think that's a motivated Mississippi State team to possibly win that game this weekend. So, and that's not a game we're covering, but it is one of the interesting games this
Very
weekend.
Interesting game, yeah. Do you want to talk about some of the games from last week? I know there's not a crazy amount of them. But
let me get your thoughts, because I know you weren't here last week and we had quite a few things to talk about. Let me just get your quick thoughts on the new NCAA ruling of one transfer portal window from now on in January, from January 2nd to January 16th.
I think it's good. I think you have to make people make their decisions, and you can't have people transferring after spring practice because they didn't practice hard enough.
Yeah.
I think it's a smart rule.
Yeah, I know that. I'm pretty sure the Big Ten is trying to fight it. The Big Ten still wants 2 transfer portal windows. The
Of course
SEC
they
only
are.
wants 1. But for right now, there's only 1 transfer portal window. And then very quickly, what do you think it says about the AP poll that 3 of the top 4 preseason teams are all either unranked or not even in the top 15 anymore?
I think it's just it's we're in a kind of a no-win situation with the AP poll, because on one hand you can't not have a preseason AP poll,
Right.
because you don't generate as much hype for the games and I mean, everyone's looking for that preseason AP poll. Like, hey, who's ranked, who's right there, stuff like that. You have to have it. But you also know you might have some frauds. And I mean, there are frauds which Texas is back in the top 25. But
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I think it's impossible to project.
Yeah.
Impossible to project what teams are going to be. I think you have to put the reigning national champion at 1 always.
Yeah.
Until they lose, you can't drop them from 1. I think that was a mistake this year that they made, starting Ohio State at 3, putting Texas at number 1 with a quarterback that had never started a game on the road. Penn State, I get why Penn State was 2. They returned their whole team, basically.
Yeah.
But I just think that it's nearly impossible to predict this stuff. So they're never going to fix it, but I don't think we need to be sitting here like, oh, the AP poll sucks because of their preseason rankings. I think we need to look at the AP poll now, week by week, and say, what in the world are you doing?
Yeah.
Like because they're inconsistent. I think that's the thing. I think the AP poll has no consistency to it whatsoever, and I think that's the frustrating part. Because one week, if you're not, one team could win a game against a number 15 team and move up 8 spots. Another team could win a game against the number 16 team, but they're not as big of a name. They'll only move up 2 spots. That's not how it works. It's not how it's supposed to work. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm glad that they put Indiana at 3, because I think Indiana's a top 5 team in the nation right now. But I'm surprised they did it. I'm really surprised they did it, because I just Indiana's not a big name for these guys.
That's what I had mentioned last week. I said you can't get rid of the preseason AP poll because somebody has to be ranked. I mean, then if you don't have an AP poll, then how do you determine what's a quality win and what's not a quality win? So you have to have it. But yeah, just kind of I kind of said that the media is the problem last week. I had mentioned that the media, how they overhype teams. Like Texas was basically already being crowned national champions before they even played a snap.
Best team in the SEC. Yep.
So, I just said that, maybe we need to chill a little bit on just the media attention that certain teams get. I'm glad that you mentioned Indiana. I love Curt Cignetti. Dude, he is just a dog, dude. And he's one of those guys that's super cocky, but he backs it up.
Yeah, every time.
And it's I mean, after the game they beat Oregon, he said, go Google me. All I do is win. All I've ever done is win in my coaching career. Which is
aura. That's aura for sure.
That's just incredible. But
his story's crazy too, because he took a pay cut to go to a D2 school basically, and then all he did was win there.
He wasn't getting any opportunities. He was on Nick Saban's staff and wasn't getting any opportunities, and just goes to show you how great Nick Saban was. That coaching tree continues of success.
Yep.
I think pretty much all of the top teams in the nation have some tie to Nick Saban, which is just crazy. Mm-hmm. Let's go to last week's games. Ohio State, Illinois. Illinois never really had a chance the entire game. I mean, they got down early, never really had an opportunity to get back into the football game. I know Brett Bielema said that they, quote unquote, figured out their defense just too late. I watched a little bit of that game. I didn't see it. Yeah, they scored some points late, but they were down by so much it didn't really matter.
Outgained Ohio State in the game. Outgained them 295 to 272, which is surprising. But I mean, scoring 16 points on that Ohio State defense is going to be probably one of the most points they put up in the regular season on them, because that defense is nasty.
Yeah,
I think Ohio State, as much as I don't want to admit it, I don't think they have a flaw. I don't think there's a hole in that team. They have thoroughly dominated every team that they've played. Like, you could beg the question, have they even played a good team yet? In all reality, but that's what we got to see. That's not our fault that the Big Ten is down.
Yeah, I mean, that does bring up another point. I think I saw something today or yesterday. The top 3 teams in the country have 0 ranked games left on their schedule. Indiana, Ohio State, Miami, I think maybe even the top 5, something like that, all have 0 ranked games left. So
because they don't play in the SEC.
Right. Alabama, Missouri, this game, I paid special attention to this game. I knew it was going to be close, competitive. Missouri, I did pick Alabama to win this game, but I did think Missouri had a legitimate shot at winning it. And I think they did. I think they played well. They just made a few too many mistakes. Bo Pribula, but pretty much threw the same interception twice in the game. On basically the same route to the same guy.
The seam, and he tries to throw the seam, and the guy curled. Like, I don't understand how that happens twice. This is 2 weeks in a row that Alabama has been bailed out by the quarterback that they're playing, in my opinion. Because I think that Vandy game is close if Pavia doesn't turn the ball over twice. Pavia fumbled in the red zone against them to possibly take like a 13-3 lead at that point or something like that, or more. And then they weren't even like, Missouri wasn't even running the football well. And they were in that game. They finally kind of, I think Ty Simpson kind of looked a little bit, it's the first time I've seen him a little bit rattled at times with that pass rush getting to him. We'll get into the Tennessee-Alabama game, but it's really interesting because if quarterbacks can just take care of the football against Alabama at this point, the last 2 weeks they've shown that they're mortal, but I can't sit here and tell you that Alabama doesn't have a super impressive resume, because they've went and played 3 straight top 15 SEC teams and beaten them all.
Yeah. I mean, yes, to your point, they have been bailed out by bad quarterback play, but was that exacerbated by the pressure they were getting on the quarterback? And I think that's the case. You have to give them the credit by the fact that they were getting pressure on the quarterback that was forcing those mistakes. So as much as we all wished that this was the end of the Alabama dynasty, it doesn't look like they've really gone anywhere. At least they kind of look somewhat similar to the Saban era right now. What just happened? Did somebody score?
Louisville's up 14-0 first quarter.
Wow.
Can't change our picks.
We can't change our picks. I mean, it's a typical Mario Cristobal coaching job.
Friday night. It's the Friday night ACC madness, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, I get
Oklahoma, Texas. This game, man.
Yeah.
Hats off to Texas for bouncing back and winning this game. John Mateer, I know he probably was not 100%.
No, but he didn't play well.
Didn't play well at all. I mean, I think, honestly, that game probably cost him a Heisman opportunity. Yep. That's how poorly he played in this game. But hats off to the Texas defense. They bounced back. Texas's defense hasn't looked that great so far this season, but they looked good. And Arch Manning had a great game.
Great game.
The first great game of his career. And honestly, this could be one of those launching pad games where now he's got confidence. And now he starts playing like we thought he was going to play. Or it could have just been a one-time deal. We don't know. But I think this might have been a big confidence boost for him.
I think what we have to learn and take away from this game is that even really good players are not going to start out really, really good every single time. You're going to have to tamper expectations because, I mean, like we've said multiple times on the show, he was playing against like us in high school.
Yeah.
Like me and you in high school. So I think the talent is there. And I heard on the broadcast, Steve Sarkisian talking about how he's like the hardest worker. He takes all the blame and he's tough on himself. And I think that's going to pay off. But I don't think that Arch's arm was the difference in this game. They finally were able to run the football.
Yeah.
Travion Wisner had 94 yards on 22 carries, which doesn't sound eye-popping, but they ran for 136 yards as a team against a really good Oklahoma front. And on the defensive end, they only let up 48 yards rushing, and they forced 3 turnovers for Mateer. That's the recipe for success for Texas. They're not going to be this high-flying offense this year. Their defense has got to win games. And I think Texas, this is the best that they've looked. But as we know, you play in the SEC now, you got a lot more tough games that you're going to have to play even better than you played against Oklahoma in that game.
Yeah.
And this week might not be one of them. Obviously, they're playing Kentucky. But at Kroger Field at night, it's not a tough place to win.
Not an easy place to win.
Yeah, not an easy place to win. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree that most of the credit needs to go to the defense and to the running game. But, we'll see what happens with Arch Manning moving forward. He could go right back to what he was doing. But that was a big win for them. Nebraska, Maryland, didn't watch really much of that game at all. Michigan, USC, big win for USC. This USC team looks legit, man. And I mentioned this last week. I think USC is in a prime position because this is the first year that I remember that nobody's talking about a Lincoln Riley team.
Yep.
Every year Lincoln Riley's teams get all this hype and all this praise. It's the first year that we haven't heard anything. I haven't heard a thing about USC this year. And I think that's exactly where they need to be to thrive. And, man, they blew out that Michigan team last week. And you can blame travel all you want to, but at the end of the day, Michigan has to be able to throw the ball if they're going to be successful. Yep. They're really good at running the football, but if they play a defense that just hones in on it and can stop it, Michigan's got a real issue. And I'm already seeing, some chatter about Sharon Moore. I mean, basically him coming out and saying, well, his excuse for losing the game is that he loves Michigan and he wears the Letterman jacket. Like, who cares, dude? Like, why did you play awful? It's kind of, I don't know. I was hearing some weird things about his post game interview about them losing to USC.
They should just hire Biff Poggi as their full-time.
Biff Poggi, baby. Biff Poggi.
Yeah, baby. I like Poggi.
Whatever. Tomato. But yeah, USC, and they've got another big game this week. And Jaden Maeva, number 1 QBR rating in the country, has for the last 4 straight weeks.
This is Lincoln Riley's best quarterback at USC.
That's a bold take, but I don't think it's a crazy take at all. He doesn't turn the football over.
Nope.
But, sometimes, a guy that doesn't turn the football over doesn't necessarily mean you're a good quarterback. But he's a dual threat. He's smart with the football. Exactly. But that's a good team, and I think they could potentially compete for the Big Ten. South Carolina, LSU. South Carolina has just been a disappointment this year. I kind of said that they were going to be. I think in our preseason predictions, if I remember correctly, I think I had them going 6-6, 7-5. Their offense is actually the worst in the SEC right now, which is disappointing with Lenore Sellers. The defense has regressed, and LSU still does not look impressive. I mean, still, they won 20-10. They had ample opportunity to pull away in this game. And once again, everybody's still talking about Nussmeier's hurt. Okay, at some point, that's got to stop being an excuse. At some point, either sit down and let somebody else play or stop using that as an excuse for why you can't score points. There's too much talent on this LSU team. We barely scraping by, and they've got a big game this week.
Yeah,
and we're going to be covering it. So,
did
you watch any of this? Did you see any of the South Carolina LSU game?
No, both of these last 2 games were right during the Georgia game, so I didn't watch a second.
Yeah.
So
and then that's a perfect segue into UGA Auburn. Let's just end with this game. Maybe we'll touch on Indiana Oregon. Let's talk about Indiana Oregon first, and then we can go into UGA Auburn.
Impressive.
Indiana, great win.
Yeah,
they look like a phenomenal team. I think they proved all the doubters wrong that they are a fraud. I think I don't know if Indiana plays Ohio State in the regular season, but that's a team that can beat Ohio State. I really do think so.
Well, you said none of the top 3 teams play a ranked opponent the rest of the year, so
yeah, they probably don't play each other. But in the Big Ten title game, I think Indiana can definitely beat Ohio State. So let's get into UGA Auburn. Georgia once again with another slow start, as we've seen the last 9 out of the last 10 Power 4 games we've played. Slow starts.
Yep.
Trailing at halftime. And I know the story of the game is the officiating, and the officiating was absolutely. I think the officiating was terrible for both sides. I think that particular crew, like that head ref, I've never seen him call a good game. I think he's probably the worst SEC ref out there. But the fumble call was accurate. Was the right call. And shame on Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy, Booger McFarland, all these guys out there that was clear, saying it was so clear that it was a touchdown. And you've got guys that are professional, like rules analysts, and they said that the side-by-side on the actual broadcast was not even synced up correctly. They were 15 frames apart.
That's wild.
So when they synced them up, you could clearly tell that Jackson Arnold had fumbled the football. The ball was moving almost immediately.
Yep.
Like even before he jumped, the ball was already moving. And so that was the correct call. I don't know why. Well, I actually don't have that much of a gripe about them taking a touchdown away from us on the fumble recovery, because we had coaches that were on the field being like, go. So that doesn't – you can't really have coaches like on the field, so that doesn't bother me all that much. And then the phantom timeout call, I honestly don't know why that's been made such a big deal, because here's the thing. Did Kirby Smart motion for timeout? Yes, he did. Whether Kirby Smart meant to do that or not, sometimes we, in the heat of the moment, maybe that instinct just kicked in and he just was calling timeout. Clearly his mouth, he never said timeout. He was saying they're clapping. Okay, I still think he was motioning for a timeout. The referee should have charged us a timeout or made us take a delay of game. I believe that. However, for Auburn fans to be making this huge fuss and this huge stink, and Kirby Smart's a cheater and he can't be getting away with this, let me just remind you that we scored 0 points on that drive. We got nothing off that drive.
We missed the field goal.
The very next play, you guys got a makeup call on the most bogus blindside block I've ever seen in my life. That was a terrible blindside block call. It was clearly a makeup call. And at the end of the day, if Kirby Smart lied, again, who cares? We got 0 points off that drive. And that phantom timeout doesn't change the fact that you guys got 40 yards in the second half.
Right.
40. So at the end of the day, who cares if he lied about it or not, whether it was he didn't mean to call time, whatever it was, at the end of the day, doesn't matter. Who cares?
I have a very, I think, and I posted this, or I think I've told you this before, but I'm going to say it on the podcast, obviously. I feel more confident with Georgia after that game than I have all season. Because they showed the killer mentality this week, and they went out there, and now they could have easily been down 17-0, but guess what? Give them that touchdown, we still win 20-17. We still won the football game. But you have an offense that played no time in the first half. So we don't know if the offense was even bad in the first half because they barely saw the field. Second half, that is the best half of football that Bobo has coached this year. The play designs were great. We had a couple of really good calls that were just misexecuted on the field by our guys. And I think the defense, it was maybe Glenn Schumann's best second half as the defensive coordinator. I think Kirby has a lot to do with it, obviously. But I think we finally figured out something in the pass rush with C.J. Allen. C.J. Allen had a great game. And Dontrell Glover, who came in at left tackle. I think he was playing left tackle.
He's been starting at right guard the last
right guard,
games.
Yes. So he's been starting at right guard.
It was Bo Hughley that came in at left tackle.
Yeah. But Dontrell Glover played great. And you have to this is Zach, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the worst that Georgia's going to be in for 3 years.
Probably.
They're only going to get better.
Yeah.
That secondary is young. As much as we want to say, oh, they suck, it's sophomores and like very limited experience starting juniors in that secondary.
It's freshmen. It's redshirt freshmen and sophomores, basically.
Yeah, a lot of them. And a lot of guys that have less than 10 games started in their career who are talented as heck, but talent takes time. And so this offensive line, we clearly see we've got tons of depth at that position because we've had to use all of it this year. And they're getting better. I think they have played a great second half. We can run the football with multiple guys like we used to. I think this Georgia team is fine. And Gunnar Stockton, once again, played a great game. Gunnar Stockton. Now, can Gunnar Stockton layer it over a linebacker and touch pass it everywhere? No.
Are you referring to Aaron Murray's comments?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, no, probably not. But can Gunnar go out there and win you a game on the road? Yeah, he can. We've gone out. We've played. They played Tennessee and a bad Auburn team close. Those are the only 2 road games we've played this year. On the road, Tennessee was at 3:30, which is a tough place to play. And then you have to go to Jordan-Hare at 7:30 at night? A team that is basically in must-win? These are tough games to win, and those are the only 2 road starts Gunnar has ever had. And I think they were his 2 best games.
Yeah.
Gunnar's stats weren't crazy in the Auburn game, but some of the throws that he made were clutch. The decisions to run, I think he was so much smarter with his decisions to run this week. He didn't stay in the pocket too long, and he didn't get out of the pocket too long. I think he was played the pocket perfectly. I feel more confident with this Georgia team after this week that I have all season going into this Ole Miss game.
He took some big hits in that game too.
He did, and he got right back up.
Some bad some big time sacks, but he got back up. And sometimes it's. I mean, I've never played quarterback, but I've heard from other people that I played the position. I've heard from other people that played the position that sometimes a big hit, getting hit a lot, can kind of almost give you confidence in a way. And so, and guys like Ellis Robinson, the first game he started, he looked terrible, but he's getting slightly better every week.
He's getting better.
DeMello Jones, I've been super impressed with DeMello Jones at corner. We lost Kyron Jones probably for the year. That was a big blow. Probably Ja'Cory Thomas is going to be the guy that steps in from what I'm hearing.
No, Zion Branch is starting this week.
I heard Dog Nation Daily told me Ja'Cory Thomas was probably going to be the guy to fill in, but
interesting.
We'll see.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I think both of them are good.
Yeah. So, they've got another big game this week, but again, I think officiating, blaming officials is a weak man's mindset, especially, Kirby Smart. We've had tons of bad calls go against us. The team always feeds off what the coach does. Let's take the Texas game last year, for example. Some of the worst officiating I've ever seen when we were on the road against Texas last season. But Kirby Smart did make a comment about it after the game and even at halftime. But he didn't spend the entire halftime moping and complaining about a bad call. And
you could see it on Hugh Freeze's face.
Hugh Freeze is just sitting there whining the whole second half, just mad about a call. It's like your team is going to feed off of that.
Yep.
And now they think, okay, well, I guess the refs are just out to get us, so I guess we just don't have a chance to win this game.
So bad.
Just get out there with the mentality. And I know Auburn fans are like, well, you play bad too. If we got screwed 2 out of the last 3 games. I get it, man. Sometimes officiating is bad, and yes, they got screwed in that Oklahoma game. And yeah, if I was an Auburn fan, I would probably also think we got screwed in this game too. However, again, you feed off of your head coach. Your head coach can't be sitting on the sidelines moping.
Yep.
And then after the game, basically saying, look, we just keep finding ways to lose games. That's not what I want to hear out of my head coach, to be honest with you.
I don't think he'll be the head coach very much longer.
If you keep in the fact that he has said it like 3 times just this week, we keep finding ways to lose games. We keep finding ways to lose games.
That's a coaching problem.
He even said, I called some of my coaching friends and I'm trying to figure out why we can't finish games. I'm like, dude, that's you.
Yep.
If you can't finish games, that's on you, dude.
Yep.
So I honestly have never minded Hugh Freeze that much, but after this past week, dude, I have lost a ton of respect for him after that. And then honestly, and I'll end with this and we'll get into our picks for this week. I don't want to hear Auburn fans saying anything about integrity, about Kirby Smart, when you guys had your Best player ever was Cam Newton, which he has a checkered
He was
past.
there.
He was there. You had Bruce Pearl as your Auburn head basketball coach. He was shrouded in controversy. And you had Hugh Freeze, who literally used the school's credit card to pay for prostitutes at Ole Miss. So I don't want to hear about integrity and morals at Auburn. Just maybe you should sit this one out. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So let's get into the games for this week.
Yes. Let's do
the
it.
game that's going on right now is Louisville at Miami. We've already made our picks on this game. I have Miami winning this game big because Louisville. I'm pretty sure they're coming off a loss last week, are they not? Didn't they lose to Virginia in overtime last week?
Maybe. They're 5-1. I know that.
And Miller Moss has not looked that impressive, especially against good defensive teams. I do like Miami. I do like this team, but I think this might be one of the worst quarterbacks that Jeff Brom has had at the helm. This Miami team is complete. Now, I know that they're struggling right now, but I still have Miami big, and I can't change my pick anyway.
I've got
probably wouldn't have changed anyway, but I got Miami winning this game big.
I've got Miami comfy, so I think that they're the better team in this game. But I mean Miller going into this game, I mean Louisville has guys, like Louisville has good players on their team, so I think they could make it competitive. And I mean if the score holds, it'll be competitive. And if Louisville wins, it's not going to matter what any of us picked. And it will be a huge surprise. But Miami has already scored, made it 14-7. But Miller Moss is 8 of 9 for 87 yards and a touchdown. So put some respect on Miller Moss's name.
Yeah, and Cody is going to go Miami big as well.
Yeah.
So
this game hasn't started. Nebraska.
We'll see how that game plays out. Nebraska at Minnesota kicks off in about 15 minutes. So if you wanted to change your pick, you still have time to do that. Mitchell, why don't you start off with Nebraska, Minnesota?
They're going on the road on a Friday night. Raiola has been really good. Look, Josh Pate has Nebraska making the playoff this year. I think they have a pretty simple road to being a 11-1, 10-2 team, and I think a 10-2 Big Ten team is going to be in the scenario. This is going to be a tough one though. On the road at Minnesota. It's going to be loud. It's going to be probably cold. I think it's a low-scoring game, but I got Nebraska close.
All right. I'm also going to take Nebraska, but I've got Nebraska comfortable. Minnesota has been more impressive than I thought they would be this year. But once again, Matt Rule has a tendency to not lose these types of games to unranked opponents. I do think it's going to be interesting to see how they play with all these rumors with Matt Rule and Penn State. But I think if Matt Rule really wants to make a statement that he's committed to Nebraska, then he's going to get a statement win on the road tonight and put all those rumors to bed. I think if they come out sluggish, if they lose this game, then I think that's only going to exacerbate those rumors that he's leaving at Penn State tonight. I think they really need to win this game. Yeah. So LSU at Vanderbilt. Who would have thought that this would be a big game and a game that we cover?
That Vandy is favored in.
Vandy is favored in this game. And I'm actually going to take the favorite. I'm taking Vanderbilt close. I think the offensive struggles by LSU is an ongoing problem, and I know they have a really elite defense that can keep them in the game. But I don't see Diego Pavia having another bad game in a row. Another bad performance. I'm pretty sure they've had a bye week to prepare for this game. So, and again, Clark Lee is probably getting a lot of phone calls too right now with some of these openings. So if he wants to show that he's committed to Vandy, then he's going to need to show himself out for a big win here. And I think possibly if LSU loses this game, we could maybe see Brian Kelly on the hot seat. Maybe some pressure building on Brian Kelly. So give me Vandy close. I'm just not been impressed with Nussmeier, even though the defense is good. I just got to go with the better quarterback here.
Yeah, I'm going the other way. I got LSU close on the road. I think this is a win that they need. I think this is a must win for LSU. On the road, a 12 o'clock game, 11 o'clock kick in Nashville time. It's going to be interesting. But I think it's the LSU defense you've mentioned that is the difference in this game. I think that they're going to force Pavia into mistake. They're going to limit the a gimmicky offense that Vandy throws out onto the field with these shovels and these pitches and stuff like that. I think Blake Baker is going to be able to contain that. And the LSU defense wins them the game in another kind of just meh performance from the LSU offense, which is going to catch up to them again. I don't think this is the game that it's going to catch up to them. I think they get a win on the road.
I did forget to mention that I think Whit Weeks is going to be out for this game as well.
Is he going to be at the Ole Miss Georgia game?
No.
With his girlfriend?
No. Though I did see something funny, and this is off topic, on social media, that Whit Weeks shaved his head this week, and somebody commented and said, "Dude, haven't you ever read the story of Samson and Delilah?"
That's funny.
And then he gets hurt. He's out this week. So
that's crazy. Voodoo magic.
But Cody's going to go LSU close. He's riding with you, Mitchell. Next one is Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech at Duke. Again, this is a game that I wish Cody would be here to be able to talk about his boys. It's what surprises me the most about this game is Duke is favored.
Yep.
Duke is favored. ESPN has them winning this game. Maybe Vegas knows something that we don't. I know Duke is 3-0 in the conference. I think they're tied for first in the ACC right now. Georgia Tech is only 2-0 in the conference. So
they're 3-0 in the conference.
Oh, they
Georgia
are 3-0?
3-0. Yep.
So this is for sole possession of first play. Other than they're still going to be tied with Virginia because Virginia hasn't lost.
That's crazy. Which is crazy.
Which I mentioned that last week. How crazy the conference standings are right now, especially in the ACC. Teams you would have expected to be at top of the conference right now. Basically, all the nerd schools are leading the ACC.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
But Georgia Tech, Duke, why don't you lead the way on this game, Mitchell?
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that Duke was favored in this game. But if you look at the way that Darian Mensah has been playing this year, he's been the second best quarterback in the ACC behind Carson Beck. He's got 15 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. His stats are better than Carson Beck. Obviously, they have those 2 non-conference losses to Illinois and at Tulane. But they've bounced back really nice. They've had convincing wins over NC State, Syracuse, and California and Cal. Now they traveled all the way to Cal and beat them 45-21. So let's pipe down a little bit on the travel being everything in a loss. This is going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a close game, but I do think Haynes King. This is just that game where he comes alive. You know, this is the games that he loves, where he's hobbling down the field with 3 minutes to go, making a play. I think Georgia Tech pulls this one out. This is a close win for them. I think this is the last game that I think that they are going to really be tested until the ACC championship game, maybe, or Georgia in the ACC. But
yeah,
until Georgia.
I'm going to go not so fast. I'm picking Duke to win this game close.
Nice. I wanted to.
I like the way they've been playing lately. And again, their 2 non-conference losses were both to good teams. It's not like they lost to bad teams. They've been playing well within the conference. And I think I've heard Cody mention before that Duke kind of seems to be a thorn in the side team of Georgia Tech. They kind of always seem to struggle with this team. And so I think that might continue here. Everybody's hyping up Georgia Tech and talking about how good they are. And Brent Key is having his name in some people's coaching searches, as well as Manny Diaz. Both of these coaches have been mentioned in coaching searches. So that's going to be interesting. Manny Diaz has been referenced in the Penn State search. I don't think that would be, we'll see. But I don't know. This is more of just a gut feeling. And again, I've got a system that I use to pick games, and I'm going to go Duke close.
So you have a model. You use the JP model. You use the Josh Pate model.
It's my own model. It's not JP's model. It's my own. Washington at Michigan. Again, Michigan coming off a blowout loss last week.
Yep.
They kind of can't afford to lose really any more games from this point
because
forward.
They play Ohio State at the end of the year.
Yeah. So, and this Washington team is no slouch. I mean, we've seen them play very well. Damon Williams. They came back down 20-0 against Maryland last week in a big win. I think that game was on the road too.
That was 2 weeks ago, but yeah.
Oh yeah. But I've got Michigan winning this game close. I think that this is a must-win game. They have to win it. I think Justice Haynes has one of the best games he's had all year, which I think – I mean, he's already one of the top backs in the country, leading the nation in rushing. I think Justice Haynes has a big game. I think Bryce Underwood makes a few plays here and there. Washington is close to getting there, but they're not quite there yet. And Michigan really needs this one. So I'm going to pick Michigan to win the game close.
What a loaded noon hour we have this week.
Yeah.
It's three really good games at the noon hour. I agree with everything you said. Michigan's got to have it. Their run game's going to be physical. It's a good Washington team, but we saw against Ohio State they struggle to score points in the red zone. I think that's going to bite them in the butt. Give me Michigan close.
All three of us are picking Michigan close. And I didn't mention Cody has Georgia Tech comfortable in the Georgia Tech Duke game, which is not a surprise. But
yeah.
Next game is
Oklahoma,
Texas,
South Carolina.
No. So I actually removed that game because
that's right. I forgot.
11 games. So
I still picked it. I picked Oklahoma comfy.
And
Doesn't
Cody
matter.
picked South Carolina. I didn't pick this game, but Cody picked South Carolina to win. Texas Tech at Arizona State. Why don't you start off this game? Texas Tech has looked amazing so far this year.
I think Texas Tech has played like a top 5 team this year in the nation. Baron Morton's really, really good. And Texas Tech has beaten every single one of their opponents by 24 or more points through 6 games. And that's not like they've played like slouches. They've played a good Houston team. They played a really good Utah team, both on the road, at home against Kansas. This team's legit. This team's got guys. And I think that this is the game where they play in a close one because they need it. On the road, I think Sam Leavitt's coming back for this game.
Yeah, he is.
Sam Leavitt will be back, so Arizona State's not going to look horrible like they have the last 2 games with freaking Jeff Sims at quarterback. Texas Tech, close. This was a tough one for me. Texas Tech, close.
Wow. I'm going to go Texas Tech comfortable. I think they just keep the train rolling. I know Sam Leavitt's going to be cleared, but he's not going to be 100% in this game. They're going to get pressure on him. And listen, Texas Tech's got a lot of momentum right now. I mean, I sent this to you yesterday, but they're willing to spend money to start being really good. 100%. They have the number 1 edge rusher who was in the 2027 class, LaDainian Guyton, who just reclassified to 2026. So he'll be coming next year. He's been committed to Texas Tech for probably about a year now, close to a year. And he had a scheduled an official visit to Georgia this weekend. And it was announced all over social media. And literally within 3 hours, it was then announced that he had canceled his official visit. There's all kinds of rumors right now that Texas Tech paid him about $500K to cancel that official visit.
Jerry Jones sent over a check. Yeah.
Jerry Jones is not a Texas Tech fan. He's an Arkansas fan.
I know.
But, I mean, that just goes to show you how serious they are about winning. And I think that also shows you that they were probably pretty scared that Kirby Smart was going to steal Guyton. But
yeah.
I mean, like I said, this team is serious. There's a lot of momentum there in Lubbock. So I got them winning this game comfortable. I do think that this is the perfect game to kind of sneak up on them, to kind of test them a little bit. So that I like your pick there too. And I'm going to go – and Cody is going to go Texas Tech comfortable as well.
It's also not a bad thing for good teams to be pushed. I think they need it sometimes. They can't – blowing out teams is not good for the end of the season. So I think it's going to be a good game for them to play a close one. It's going to be good for them. So
Tennessee at Alabama, the third Saturday in October.
Third Saturday, October.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. I hope a nuke lands in Tuscaloosa because I don't really care for the Lions team. I'm just kidding. But only halfway kidding. But this game is going to be a barn burner, I think. We've got Tennessee, who has the worst scoring defense in the SEC, which is actually surprising to me when I saw that stat. Alabama has won 3 straight ranked games. 2 of those have been on the road, I think. Or maybe was it only the Georgia game? Were they at home against Missouri? They were on the road.
They're on the road. 2 of them are on the road.
Two of those games were on the road. Ty Sims looks absolutely phenomenal. Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson. Nick Saban's last project, basically, his last touch on college football is Ty Simpson. And I think this is going to be a good game, but I do think Alabama wins comfortable. I don't think Tennessee's defense is going to be good enough to. I think a lot of people are kind of surprised at the line. I think Alabama's favored by 9 points right now. I don't think that's crazy.
It's down to 7.5.
Down to 7.5. I don't think it's crazy. I think Alabama definitely can cover the spread, especially being at home. And I know Tennessee has supposedly got Alabama's number, but they haven't beaten them in Tuscaloosa in like 20 years. It's been 20 years since they've won in Tuscaloosa. I think that continues here today. Kalen DeBoer always has his team ready for big games. He kind of sleepwalks through the games that they're expected to just steamroll through, but these kind of games they don't really sleepwalk through. So
Black hoodie DeBoer.
Yeah, give me Alabama comfortable.
That's an interesting. This game has really bothered me this week because Tennessee, I know they have a really bad scoring defense. They actually have the second highest pressure rate in the SEC. And so they've got guys off the edge, and the two tackle positions right now have been Alabama's problem on the offensive line. And if they can get to Ty Simpson and affect his reads and affect this offense to where they have to start leaning on the run, which they've only shown could be successful in one game, no Jam Miller potentially this week with the concussion protocol, that could be a big thing for Alabama being able to run the football consistently. I still think they win this game because I think Joey Aguilar, I think he's second in the SEC in total turnovers. They think this game is close. I think Alabama wins because they're at home, but I think this is a game that comes right down to the wire because of the explosive plays that Tennessee can make to keep themselves in the game.
Yeah. Cody is going to go with Alabama comfortable as well.
Guys, I didn't pick against Bama. Chill out for once.
For the first time. Next one, a game that we alluded to earlier, USC goes on the road to play Notre Dame. Again, USC is rolling. Still nobody's really talking about how good this team is, Jaden Maeva. But I think Notre Dame is kind of in a position where they need this game. I don't think they can lose it. I don't think they can lose another game and make the playoff. So with that being said, I've got Notre Dame winning this game close. I like Marcus Freeman. I believe he's a great coach, and they seem to do really well when their backs are up against the wall. After they lost to NIU last year, they were pretty close to perfect the rest of the season. I mean, they dominated every team they played. They lost the first two games they played this season, and they've looked close to flawless since then. A few slow starts here and there, but second half they just steamroll teams. I don't think it'll be a steamroll. I think it'll be a very, very close game, but give me Notre Dame to win it close.
Not so fast, my friend. I think USC goes on the road and beats Notre Dame this week. I made the preseason prediction that Notre Dame was going to lose 4 games this season, and I very well could see it. They got a tough schedule. Yes, they've been playing better football, but they haven't really played great opponents. Arkansas is not a good team. NC State doesn't look very good. They beat Purdue. This is the third good team that they've played this year. They are 0-2 in the previous games that they've played against good teams. I think USC is going to make them 0-3. Jaden Maeva doesn't make mistakes, and they found their run game last week with a true freshman. This game is going to be close, but I think Maeva makes the play, and I think CJ Carr makes a late interception or throws a late interception. Give me USC with the upset on the road, and that's it.
Yeah, one of the classic rivalry games in college football, Notre Dame USC.
Speaking of classic rivalries.
Yes, the Holy War, Utah at BYU this weekend. This game is always crazy, always super gritty. And even though it's called the Holy War, there's always fights that break out in this game. Why don't you give me your thoughts on Utah BYU?
Well, fun fact, it's actually one of the most attended games all year because all the husbands bring like all 7 of their wives and their kids on both sides. So there's actually a lot of fans at this game. No, I think Bear Bachmeier has been really good for BYU. And it stinks that he's probably not going to start next year because they have a stud freshman coming in. Something Lyons, Ryder Lyons is his name, who they paid a lot of money.
Has the craziest names. What? BYU football players always have the craziest names.
Bear Bachmeier to Ryder Lyons, yeah. I think I think Utah wins this game on the road against BYU. BYU hasn't really been tested yet. Utah has. Utah is in more desperation mode at this point. This is big for the Big 12. This is a big Big 12 jockeying for position. Utah can't be 2 losses in the Big 12 make the championship, I don't think, at this point. So I think Utah goes on the road. Devin Dampier plays a great game on the road in a hostile environment. I think Utah wins comfortable.
Comfortable.
I think it's a 10-point win. I don't think it's like I think it's just a 10-point win.
Nice. I've got Utah winning this game close as well. Devin Dampier, I think, is going to be the difference. Bear Bachmeier has played well. I don't know if BYU has really played much of a quality opponent so far yet this season. Utah got punched in the mouth by Texas Tech. I mean, I think it was like 42-10 was the final score. And I think, kind of like you said, backs against the wall, can't really afford to lose another game.
Yep.
And, of course, this is a huge rivalry game. Both teams, if they can only beat one opponent all year, they want to beat beat this team. And I love I forget the head coach's name at Utah. What is his name?
Kyle Whittingham.
Love Kyle Whittingham and his coaching style, but give a lot of credit to Kalani Sitake. I think a lot of people.
That's the name you remember, but you don't remember Kyle Whittingham.
I know. But big credit to him because I think a lot of people, myself included, expected them to take a big step back with the Retzlaff leaving. But hey, they've stepped up. They're undefeated at this point. But I've got Utah winning this game close, and Cody actually has BYU winning this game close. So he's going with the Mormons.
Carson Beck has thrown his second pick back-to-back drives. So midseason Carson Beck showing up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's the sound in the background of your this beautiful.
Yeah, that's my son.
We're out of town.
They were supposed to go out of town, but Carson's been sick, so she's waiting until she starts feeling better. Anyways, I forgot to give Cody's pick for the Notre Dame USC game. He's got Notre Dame close. Now let's get to the game of the week. Ole Miss at Georgia.
Yep.
3:30 kick tomorrow afternoon. This should be a night game. I don't know why this is not a night game.
Because they don't give Georgia night games.
We have the lowest percentage of home night games in the SEC. Fun fact. Yep. And LSU has the highest. So, whatever. But I think Georgia comes out and wins this game comfortable. I'm kind of like you. After last week, I think we kind of figured some things out a little bit. I know we've gotten off to some slow starts. I don't think that's entirely – everybody wants to throw the blame on Bobo and Schumann, and I still think that Schumann should take the majority of the blame because our defense has regressed under his leadership. However, I do think that the slow starts we've been seeing is kind of indicative of how much we over-prepare. I've heard several people say this week that Georgia prepares so much for these games that I think what's happening is maybe we're over-preparing a little bit.
Yeah.
And
that's fair.
And Kirby Smart even said it after the Auburn game that the first half, Auburn was running plays that they hadn't put on tape at all, running brand new plays. And I think lots of teams do that against us. They go out there the first half and they start running brand new plays that we've never seen before.
And we're ready for the old plays.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the recipe for beating Georgia is you have to get out to a fast start and then pray that you can hold a lead. That's what Alabama's done 2 years in a row. That's what Ole Miss did last year. They got off to a fast start and basically sat on it the rest of the game. Yep. But I don't think that happens tomorrow. I think if Georgia can allow anything other than a touchdown on the first defensive drive of the game, I think that's going to set the tone. Give me Georgia comfortable. I think they win this game at home. Lane Kiffin and Kirby Smart have been going back and forth. You can tell they're best friends.
Oh, it's awesome.
You can tell they're best friends. They can laugh about it. But I think this is going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game. But give me Georgia comfortable.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's a statement game for Georgia. I think they've we saw this when we lost to Ole Miss in 2016. They kind of clocked us in 2016. They beat us pretty bad. And then we came back 2 years ago, because this is the third straight year we've played Ole Miss. 2 years ago, we destroyed them at home at night. It was a very convincing win for Georgia. I don't think we beat them that bad. That was the game where we literally didn't miss on third down for the first 3 quarters.
Yeah.
It was like we were like 13 for 13 on third down. And I think that we can have similar success. Ole Miss can't stop the run. And I think Georgia's going to lean on the run game early. It's going to set up the play action pass. And I think that we're going to be ready defensively to start a game because I think Kirby's tired of this crap. And I think Kirby has heard the chatter. I think Kirby just wants to come out here and kick someone's teeth in. Look for this to be a Georgia-Texas type game from last year where everyone's doubting us. Everyone's probably picking against us. This time we're at home. We get them. They beat us last year pretty bad. I think we bounce back. We win this game by about 13. I think this is a 34-20 type game for Georgia.
Yeah. It seems like every single time people start thinking that we're frauds, we end up coming out and we just end up smacking somebody in the mouth. Like you said, the Texas game last year, we had lost 2 games at that point, I think.
It was coming right off the Ole Miss loss, I'm pretty sure.
Coming right off the Ole Miss loss, everybody's like, oh, Georgia's frauds, the Kirby's dynasty's over or whatever. And they went out and they just obliterated Texas. I think this is similar there where we're not coming off a loss necessarily, but a lot of chatter that, oh, this team is frauds. They're not legit. The Kirby dominance is over. I think we're going to see a statement win this weekend. I pray to God that we do. Because
we could, gosh. I mean, we could be very wrong, but again, we lose this game, season's not over. We got to love the 12-team playoff.
Yeah. Cody's going to go Ole Miss close. Loves to pick against the Dogs. That's okay. Now let's go with
gain a point on them.
Yeah. Let's go with our Super Dogs. Let's go with Cody's first. Cody's going to go with Stanford to cover the 18.5 against Florida State.
Absolutely not.
I mean, Florida State has not looked all that great.
I know, but Stanford's bad.
All right, give me your Super Dog. I'll go last.
My Super Dog's Mississippi State, getting 9.5 over Florida.
Yeah,
that's where you're going to.
I was afraid you were going to say that because I picked the same game. I was between 3 different games, and I settled on this one, and I'm not going to go back and change it. I think this is for all the reasons I stated earlier, and that's kind of why I alluded to this game because I knew I was going to pick it for my Super Dog.
I started grinning when you started mentioning it too. I was like, "Dang."
Mississippi State, man, they're
going to win this game.
I think they got a legit shot because, like I said, they already surpassed their win total for the season, the Vegas win total, and when Jeff Lebby was asked what's the goal at this point, he said the goal is to make a bowl game. They've got 6 games to win 2 of them. And there's not a lot of winnable ones in there, but this one is a winnable game. And I think they have to have it. And
they've got Arkansas. That's a winnable game. And then this game. They're
still going to play Texas. They're going to play Ole Miss.
They get to host Texas.
They've got to play us.
Yeah.
So
we got to go to Starkville.
So there's not a whole lot of winnable ones in there. So they've got to win this game, and I think they very well could. And look, you heard it here first. If Florida loses this weekend, Billy Napier will not be coaching against Georgia in 2 weeks.
We'll be talking about who the biggest name for Florida is officially.
Yeah. But that's the show this week.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys tuning in. Sorry Cody couldn't be here for a second straight week. But he's a big boss man at his company.
Yeah,
so
duty calls.
So he's got things to do, but we understand.
Interesting. Yep. We understand. Guys, we'll see you next week. Same time, same place, maybe Thursday, like usual at 8:00, but we mix it up a little bit. Hope you guys didn't mind a little Friday night action. I definitely didn't. I kind of like it. We will see you next week. I'm Mitchell Graham. That's Zach Brown. Peace out.
Peace.